fight, and for the first time ever, our battleship is going to see a fight here. Uh, yeah, we caught an enemy, a British battleship, a British destroyer by the territory we just captured. We did invade and capture a little bit of some British colonies here down in South America, but off screen, you might notice kind of a little bit, can't really see it. We are now at war with France, by the way, the entire French Navy. They got mad that we were picking on Great Britain so easily, so now we're at war with them. And honestly, I don't think we can fight both at the same time because technologically they're both better. Their designs just kind of suck right now, but I think a French battleship would beat ours up pretty easily, so I'm going to end war with Britain next time they ask and focus on trying to fight France. Battleship here is accompanied by 2 light cruisers and a destroyer. I know the battleship also has a British destroyer. So really what I'm going to end up doing is sending our destroyer off to go find the battleship and sending our light cruisers off to try and intercept a destroyer before they make it to the Roosevelt, which is what we get now. The British battleship is just barely heavier than us, so before looking at it, pretty insanely confident. Actually, our gun layout is ridiculous. We have 5 different triple barreled turrets. Now, because they're triple barreled, I think they might be slightly more accurate, but reloading wise, it does take longer because there's 3 guns, and we purchased a technology upgrade off screen that each gun in the turret will fire at the same time instead of staggered. Like each turret, we haven't used them before, so we wouldn't have seen it, but would have fired at their own. They would have reloaded and fired whenever they wanted, each independent gun in the turret, but that's a lot more inaccurate, whereas they all fire together. Like, the game's so detailed, you see that barrel dropping right there? What that does is allow the guns to be reloaded. They're pitched upwards. The breech goes back pretty far, like the gun inside the turret. So when it's pitched up like that, you can't reload it because it's at that angle. Like, there's no tool strong enough to push it around into the barrel and power stuff while it's upward. So they drop back down to being flat to be reloaded. And then they'll each independently raise whenever that crew is done loading their individual gun in the turret. But accuracy's decent, armor's good, a lot of turrets. Here's the British battleship. It's a little bit heavier than us, but just barely. But they managed to get much bigger guns in their ship. There's only 2 barrels per each turret, so less weight. Actually, technically, that might make them more accurate having less guns in turret, but again, less guns in general, so it might be outweighed by technology, like just straight up aiming wise about how ships aim. There's a big glorious broadside here. Some of those missed, but again, that was only 3 of the 5 turrets that are able to aim at this angle, and we already did a little bit of damage. We did get through. It looks like their main tower, their bridge there, is damaged. The enemy destroyer, by the way, is getting absolutely mauled by our light cruisers right now. It doesn't even stand the slightest of chance. The battleship has now started targeting the light cruisers. It only targeted us, the battleship, for about 5 seconds before it turns its attention to light cruisers. Its secondary layout is very scary, but their crew is just kind of mid. That's a decent hit from our battleship, though. The crew is over on mid, so their aim is lacking. And I mean, they don't have volume of fire or something they don't really have, but I mean, their secondary guns are essentially what the main gun on the light cruisers are, about 7-8-inch guns there. And again, their turrets are huge too, but now I'm directing the destroyer to charge at the battleship. Decent hit, again, not really doing much, so it's scary. Their armor, somehow they managed to fit a lot more in their hull than we did, but they seriously lack a volume of fire. It's an interesting design they have on the deck. They have 1 forward turret, 2 turrets on the waist on either side, and then 1 in the back. pretty good hit just then. Well, they sound pretty beefy too. Yeah, those huge shots. A direct hit from a battleship, and it almost essentially just shrugged that off. That is insane. The armor layout on that cruiser is so good for its size. The armor is ridiculously good on the cruiser. That is able to kind of. I mean, it's essentially 1v1ing right now because our battleship can't really get a lot of guns on target here. That battleship, and really shrugging off its fire too. At this point, I'm hoping the light cruisers can get close enough to use their torpedoes. I mean, that battleship is really armored. Our battleship honestly is not doing much to it with armor-piercing rounds, which is very scary. This was a 1v1, they would absolutely win, in my opinion. They have much bigger guns and a lot bigger armor. They just have less guns, I guess, is where they save the weight, whereas we put all of our weight into volume of fire. Almost a full broadside, not quite. The light cruisers have caught it absolutely on fire, though. And yeah, this angle, most of those bounced, if you'll see, like, they didn't even penetrate, so now I'm very glad this is not a 1v1. These light cruisers are absolutely carrying right now, which they seem to do with almost everything they do, instantly enough. Good thing their aim sucks. That would have probably actually, that was an armor-piercing round, that would have sucked. Yeah, I mean, it's only still like maybe 75% integrity 1v1ing a battleship, and it's in secondary range, so the battleship is shooting every gun it has at the light cruiser. Our battleship is also within secondary range, so everyone is shooting everything. The battleship is focused on that one center light cruiser. That back light cruiser, if you just saw, got some torpedoes off, let's see if they hit. The light cruisers have absolutely engulfed that entire thing in flames. They're just firing everything they have. Explosive supplies at their deck. I mean, look, like nothing. Okay, we got one small pin there for battleship, about 700. It's heavy explosive, that hurt really bad. I miss, okay. Seeing that is probably, you know, our rounds aren't doing anything at all. In fact, we're wasting ammo pretty much from what this could have been doing, because we're too close to hit their deck, we're hitting their side armor where it's thickest, but like if you shoot from really far away, the plunging fire will hit the deck of the ship going straight down. That will do tons of damage, but we're too close to get that arc. We're essentially firing in a straight line, and their armor layout is super thick. That was a full broadside. Nothing. Whole bunch of nothing. Absolutely nothing. The cruisers are doing like triple the amount we are. So yeah, at this point, just don't even fire the main guns. The secondary guns are good because that's what's catching their deck on fire, firing those high explosive rounds. Destroyer, oh, looks like destroyer launch torpedoes and the cruiser. So he cannot dodge any of those, not only because he's slow, but just because there's volume of fire there with torpedoes. He has so much fire, I'm surprised it's not spreading like inside. That torpedo did some serious damage. It's starting to flood and also opened up some of the armor inside to allow that fire to start spreading through compartments. It missed the destroyer. And yep, the torpedo weakened it so much from the destroyer that the fire spread to an ammo locker underneath that rear turret and blew it straight off the deck. Also probably wiped all the crew down in there, so their crew loss is going to be horrendous, so the ship is going to perform terribly now. That was the one really good hit from a front-facing battle strike right there. And now I tell the battleship, let's just try, you know, humor me, try some high explosive rounds at the bow of that ship. That destroyer is absolutely carrying with that torpedo hit. There's the battleship firing a barrage of high explosive. And that was like 4,000 damage. It just said ridiculous. So yes, high explosive the ways to go. That battleship is not winning any. That destroyer made sure that it was going to sink by opening up all those compartments with the torpedo. $10,000. That is ridiculous. Yeah, it's cooked. It's absolutely cooked. And there you go. Destroyed a British battleship, which they had just built, by the way, like literally 2 months before this battle, so Swift Shore is down. And, you know, we pretty much almost unscathed. That cruiser's got some light damage, but it's okay. We won.
What is the next step of the operation?